on the mic and he's ready to go. Noodle on his left, Jess on his right. Hey, hold up, don't start a fight. He's got you covered with all the sports. Don't fret, he's wearing shorts. It's time for Waking Jake in the morning, Waking Jake at night. Jake sucks.
Woo! Whew. Good morning, Bakers. Good morning, Jake. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Wake and Jake, the mid-week edition. We are still heavy baseball. I'm going to be honest with you, people. I don't have the heart to sink my teeth into college football or pro football yet, although
it's on the horizon.
Yesterday, and I don't know if many people know this holiday, Monday and Tuesday combined to be the Are We Doing Fantasy Football Day of the Year. I got texts from old people, new people. People were talking in the office. Do you want to be in this league? Do you want to do that? It was nuts. The fantasy football apocalypse is upon us, and I am a part of that as I am heading to outside of Austin this weekend.
Ooh, this weekend's that.
This weekend, yes. So that's it's my annual fantasy football golf competition that almost just like tore up my wrists and shoulders last year because we tried to get so much golf in. We played 4 rounds in 3 days. That this year I was stoked. I was like, oh, we're only playing 2 rounds. Friday, Saturday, bing bong, perfect. My body will hold up for that. We just decided to sneak in a Thursday round when I land, so it'll be 3 rounds in 3 days. But I do love it. You can obviously
still better than last year.
Still better than the 4
on the body.
Still better than the 4, and we walked one of those rounds. So I'm excited for that, and I'll be in the teeth of fantasy football. I'll probably be doing my research on the flight in. So
this weekend I was doing some driving, and I was on like normal sports radio, and they were doing fantasy, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I'll listen to this.
Oh man,
it's like, oh, I guess I'm ready.
And dude, the other thing, Matthew Berry started a new thing. He's no longer with ESPN, so like the fantasy football landscape's kind of wide open. I guess early bake the algorithm comments. Tell me where you get your like fantasy football stuff. I mean, Matthew Berry's the guy, and I think he's starting a new thing, but I didn't know like where to find that. Did you talk? There was someone at our John Boy Media party that was like Matthew Berry's like handler. Anyways, we'll look.
Looks like he's going to NBC.
Okay.
So I don't know. Guessing that's where you find him. NBC Sports.
See you there.
Interesting.
Last night went to the Yankees game. Sales team was
Denver,
hosting.
huh?
Sales team was hosting some of our partners. Matthew Berry has a couple good stories. I think he was in L.A. when L.A. was still like Wild Wild West. Him and Chris Parnell, you know him from a lot of SNL skits and just a kooky character in TV shows. They worked at FAO Schwartz, the kids store together.
Huh.
Just when LA was just like that. Went to the Yankees game last night. Joe's McFly, sales team, a lot of our awesome partners, Muggsy, Cushy, Shady Rays. I think we had a few other there. I mean, always an awesome time. It's at Yankee Stadium. Nice night. I was a little worried. August, no, it was beautiful.
We've had like a week of nice weather.
Yeah, it's turning.
It was horrible for many
for
weeks.
A while. Man, the Yankees, they don't really score again. They technically score. They score a run on an infield chopper to Yandy Diaz that he couldn't field cleanly. So, infield hit. But yeah, that's 1 run in 3 games. And again, that run, like, Benintendi hit a triple that took a crazy ricochet off the wall to make it a triple. So, like, their offense is really not clicking, and they called up some of their young player prospects. Estevan Florial should play some outfield. The Yankees have Stanton and Carpenter on the IL. Harrison Bader they traded for also on the IL. Aaron Hicks was kind of given another opportunity, and it just hasn't happened. It's been bad. So they're going to call up Florial, the kid, who's been struggling recently, but had a nice year in AAA. And then
at least speed and defense.
It looks like they've Phantom IL'd Clay Holmes, who gave a press conference while smiling and said his back didn't feel great.
Gave a Hoodie Glaber tweet saying, like, this is what you'd start an acting class with and say, don't do this.
Right. You'd be like, hey, if we do this, don't have a weird grin on your face and be kind of.
I just got to keep it moving.
Bitch, you lying. Whatever. They're bringing up Ron Marinaccio. He should have been on the team anyways.
So Florial Marinaccio for presumably a DJIL and Clay.
So that's where the question gets. And I mean, that's kind of the heavy Yankee stuff. And we do have Jerry Blevins joining us in a minute. I just told him to come in. Because the Mets are calling up a big prospect too, and it's Yankees-Mets times, and now I kind of want to talk Phantom.
They play next week.
I kind of want to talk Phantom IL with Jerry. But yeah, and then they also call up Oswaldo Cabrera. You might have heard the name Oswald Peraza a lot, and that was coming into the season. The Yankees had two middle infielders who were supposedly kind of climbing the ranks of Yankees prospects and looking to be good. And Oswaldo Cabrera is a year older. And he's a little more versatile, I believe. He plays some third base and second base. Well, he can play shortstop.
I think Peraza, like they have a mess around there because in the minor leagues you just have guys play a little bit in different places. But I think Cabrera's known to be like, he's going to be a guy who will play every position if he's in the big leagues.
So I think the big thing with the Yankees is they are 2-8 in their last 10. They're just scuffling, losing 3 straight again. Tampa's within 9 games. I know that's not really a thing, but Dan Allen Rourke, who's, the pulse, he said if a team gets in within 8, you get just a little more nervous.
You have to start tracking them again.
And they just didn't need to do this. And Joe's McFly had some great points last night. Why, the Yankees kept leaning on the fact, even though they're playing terrible, that, they're keeping pace with the Blue Jays. And Joe's was like, who cares? Blue Jays are mid. Why do we want to keep pace with them? Worry about the Astros. Worry about the best teams in baseball, including the New York Metropolitans. So, I think Jerry's on his way.
I think so.
And yeah, I'm excited to talk some Metropolitans. The Yankee Stadium ended up just being sad last night. It's been a sad couple weeks. Not even spoiled Yankee fan stuff. I'm normally the first person to throw that term out about how Yankee fans can be spoiled and obnoxious about winning or being 500 or their bullpen. But it's been rough, Jerry Blevins, #1 Bengals fan in the world. We were just talking. Did you celebrate yesterday or Monday's holiday? The Are We Doing Our Fantasy Football League Again holiday?
I haven't. Jolly
Okay.
sent me a text saying we're going off in the Slack channel about who we're going to do what. I don't know if I have time to participate this year, but it is definitely that time of year. Like, when are we going to draft? What are we going to do?
I not even in a cool way. This obviously isn't braggadocious, but just like I do 4 leagues. Like 2 of them I'm kind of passionate about. 2 of them are just with buddies, and it's a good time. So I'm roped in every year. I'm not going to say no to the draft. But then, yeah, I got like 2 extended invites, both yesterday, and I was like, no. I know how that ends. It's not going to be a good time. Jerry, how you doing, dude?
I'm good, man. I wore a collar today. It's Well-Dressed Wednesday for you.
I know. I think I have an outfit I'm throwing on here in a little bit. A couple sponsors, partnerships. It's not a big deal. Could you say it's modeling? I don't know. Jared, I thank you for coming on. I want to talk.
My pleasure. I'm honored.
I want to talk some Mets, some Yanks, some baseball. The one I just stumbled into, and I don't know if you saw the press conference. Yankee fans were calling for it. It's a weird thing in baseball that I think is real and should probably be acknowledged more, and maybe will be in future years. I think the Yankees just phantom IL'd Clay Holmes. And Jared, I don't know if the press conference was kind of comical because he's a big Southern dude. I think he's a Bama guy, and he's just kind of got a smile across his face, and he's like, "Yeah, I was throwing and my back locked up a little bit, so I'm going to the IL." And it was like, okay, it doesn't look like Clay Holmes is going to be doing any Broadway plays soon. Like there wasn't much of a poker face. Is that more prevalent or less prevalent than fans probably want to believe it is?
I think it's a little bit more prevalent. I don't understand why it has to be hidden. Maybe because the stigma that goes with the mental break. Right. But you can go on the IL, the injured list, with confidence issues. I think it should be understood that he's working through some things, some mechanical issues, some mental flaws, like finding the strike zone, being confident. That is a real thing that you can struggle through. So maybe again, if it's a confidence issue of him not wanting to come out and say, yeah, I just got to work on some mental stuff. And they're like, my back did it. And so putting him out there to say, my back hurts, I guess, like that's pretty rough. But yeah, I think they should be a little bit more open to allowing guys to try to find their confidence. Right.
Like now that I think about it, I guess there used to be the old vision of just lying about an injury and how that's bad or shameful. And it kind of is, but I mean, isn't like going through a funk in a way, like, 15-day IL in a funk? Like I'd be fine with that.
I mean, it's forthcoming. I think it should be like, hey, we're just trying to get this guy right without sending him or optioning him down. We need to get him on a mental break. So I think it should be within the realm of like the rule book. I think it's probably the reason they have to say a physical injury is because it's just written somewhere in MLB's rule book. But yeah, man, open it up to get with the times here.
Jared, enough about the Yankees. Nobody cares. Stop it. It's a Mets town. Your New York Mets, man. Let's start with painting the picture the right way, because amazing season, incredible. Buck, I texted you late night and you had to ask what it meant because I was just in a late night Yankees funk. I texted you, this wouldn't happen under Buck at 11:45 p.m. Kind of not mid-conversation, just like me getting it off my chest. The Yankees losing streak was just, I mean, it was everything. It was everything that the dog days are about, like mental mistakes, bad base running, like guys not in the lineup, guys not taking phantom IL trips, but making sure they're right, which hopefully come October, Anthony Rizzo saying, yeah, I can play, but I'm not because my back's a little banged up. You hope that stuff pays off in the long run, but it just, there was times when me and Joe's were looking at each other like, this doesn't happen to a Buck Showalter team, and it hasn't. But also, in just the past 2 days and how quickly baseball can turn, the Braves kind of took their first big swing. So, and then top prospect Brett Beatty gets the call. It's like, I mean, the NL East is happening right now, Jerry.
Oh, man, it's happening. We knew the Braves were a really, really good team. I would say still a great team. And judging by Jeff Passan's tweet, your boy Passan, about how many guys they've got locked up for the next 6, 7, 8 years, looks like they're going to be great for a while, man. Soroka's on his way back. Fried is probably going to come off the concussion list here soon. They're good, man. And we know how good the Marlins pitching is. It's just a good, fun league. And the Mets right now are in it, kind of like the Yankees, man. I care about the Yankees.
Sure.
New York is awesome. Being in the city when both teams are good is just different, man. It just feels incredible. But they're now reliant upon the Scherzer DeGrom top two, because they lost Carrasco and they lost Taijuan Walker. They both came out of the game after 2 innings of the first 2 games of this set. So it's going to be interesting, man.
Man, that's how funny it just turns, man. You know, that this Mets team, you give them so much credit because they were without Scherzer and DeGrom. It kind of like in control of the NL East, like throughout. I mean, pretty much. The Braves scuffled for a little bit. The Phillies kind of were coming back. I know Moylan was getting Philly fever a little bit. He gets a lot of different fevers, but I don't know. It's funny that now here we are, middle of August. Scherzer, DeGrom are back. It's 3.5 games, and hey, like the Mets took care of their business at home versus the Braves. Now the Braves seemingly will taking care of some sort of business. I know Scherzer's on the bump tonight, so you hope, that's a good way to make it 4.5 instantly and be like, we got this guy.
Yeah, that's kind of where the Mets are at, because I also have Phillies fever. I think they're the real deal. Without Bryce Harper, they've been doing this. They have Zach Wheeler, who is a true ace in this game. There's very few of them. And Aaron Nola looks every bit that return to form. He's been absolutely nasty. So anybody that's that good offensively that has those top-end starters can do some real damage. But this is for the Mets where Max Scherzer has to step up, man, because the bullpen is shot. They lost their 2 starters after 2 innings. This is where Scherzer's like, all right, I got 125 pitches. I'm going to go at least 7 innings, hop on my back. And this is a tough ask, because this Braves offense is the real deal, man. But this is what you pay him for. This is why you gave him $258 million a year to step in and do this. So this is him, and he stepped up to the plate each and every time he's been asked to do something special. And
plus the extra money coming over from the Nationals, so that makes it 268, something like that. Man, who was if I say, Jerry, jump into your playing days, who was the guy that that Scherzer asked? The pen's pretty wiped. You got to give us 7.2 tonight and give us a performance. Who's the guy that you jump to, either playing with or playing against?
So there's 2 names that I played against that jump out to me. Early Felix Hernandez in Seattle, the days of King's Court was incredible. That guy was on another level. And then Justin Verlander, who's doing it again at 39, coming off TJ. That guy was always capable of throw. He would throw into the 110s every single start. And it was awesome to watch him, because he would throw 93, 94, and then a runner in scoring position, and then he would just throw 99 again. So he was conserving it, and then would just let it eat at the 7th, 8th, 9th inning. Scherzer's very capable of that. I expect him to do that. And then the one guy for me, obviously, playing with Jacob deGrom is incredible. That guy can do many things. They won't let him do it this year, because obviously it's not worth it, because they're looking for October. And he's been, his injury history is quite well known, but playing with him was special, and to see how deep he can go and how easy he can make things look was incredible.
Yeah. The Verlander thing, Jimmy says it openly, he's my favorite pitcher to watch when he's right. Especially when baseball turned to all high fastballs and he was the high fastball guy. It was just impressive. And I think as we figure out pitch counts more and how these guys can do it right. And I think it's funny this year, remember, that was one of the conversations the first week of the season, starting pitchers were pitching deeper again. It was okay, baseball was kind of correcting itself. Verlander was such a problem and is such a problem, on the best team in the American League and the best pitcher. And those extra 10 pitches or so, because everyone has 100 circled. I don't know if it's just because Americans are lazy or whatever it is, but we've had that 100 pitch number circled for years. Verlander, with that extra little 10, 15 pitch buffer, you'd have him 75 pitches through 4 or something like that, and you'd be like, okay. If we have an inning here, we might be able to get him out in the 5th, and then he'd have that 7-pitch inning, and you'd go, oh no, this guy can go 8 all of a sudden. It's something as they rework the starting pitching. I think being able to do that it can change a game and it can save the bullpen, which has become so much of baseball.
Yeah, I think with the new evolution of the rules on how often they could send a guy down, how many times, five up downs for bullpen guys, I think you're going to see teams start to rely, especially even towards the back end of their rotation, guys that can just eat up innings. Those 200 inning marker guys are going to become more valuable because you need a guy to be able to just go 6 strong, 7 strong when need be. And then obviously the top end guys are going to let their leash go a little bit. That third time through the order, I think the Rays, they'll figure out a way. I don't know how they do it, who they have on their team. I just know they're going to be good. But I'm worried about them in the long term because I don't know how sustainable their shuffling of the bullpen rotation is going to be when they limit those shifting of minor league guys.
Yeah, that's always been Jom's thing, and he's currently right, and he should be right again with the other teams this year. But the Rays way hasn't been proven to win the whole thing. Which, hey, they were an expansion team. I lived in Denver for a while. My Rocks haven't had a ton of success. Like, the success the Rays have had is very impressive in a lot of ways. But, yeah, I mean, it seemed in their World Series run, they ran out of the pitching depth a little bit. I don't know. Rays
forced themselves out with Blake Snell. They're like, you're out.
God. Rays are going to raise. I've been getting excited for the Padres. I guess – Jerry, let's open it up to the National League just a little bit because you mentioned the Padres and the Phillies. I feel like those teams, if they were in the American League, we'd be saying like third best team. Like, are they challenging the Yankees in Houston? Like, that would kind of be the conversation. The National League right now is brutal, man. I mean, the Braves and the Mets, the Central, the Brewers and the Cardinals. One of them has to figure it out, you'd like to think, or it could just be an ugly Midwest slog a little bit, which I'd respect. But coming into this year, the Brewers starting pitching, the Cardinals have like the storylines and the young talent. Either way, I guess where do you currently rank out the National League teams?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers obviously are still number one. I think their record proves it. They've been incredible. I do think that the Mets, like as a team, I think are more complete if, obviously with Carrasco and Taijuan Walker coming back, but with Edwin Diaz at the back of the bullpen, Scherzer and DeGrom in there, and Pete Alonso and Lindor in the 3 and 4 slot of your lineup. I mean, it's incredible. But so those are my top 2 teams with the Braves right behind them at the strong 3, the number 3. And then I would say that the Phillies are number 4 for me. Because, again, I love the top end of their starting rotation. That's what wins championships. And then they have an absolute masher of a lineup. And they've been playing better defense. Like, they've been starting to make it manageable, at least. It's pretty interesting. And then I think that the Padres are right there. We talk about their starting pitching. Obviously, the Fernando Tatis Jr. news is wild. You guys have exhausted it and talked about it. As a former player, it's very disappointing. Either he took it to cheat or he was just ignorant about it and immature. Either way, it's a big time, disappointment. But I still like their starting pitching. I still love their bullpen, especially since they got Hader. Yeah. And then I think from there, I still like the Giants to do something here.
Yeah, you think they got it?
They're not done. Okay. We talk about the Rays, Farhan Zahidi, and those guys know what they're doing. Gabe Kapler, that team is incredible. They're smart, and they proved it last year that they don't need our approval to be a good baseball team. So I think they're still in contention. Man,
and what if they turn it on? Let's see, 2 against Arizona, 3 at Colorado, 2 at Detroit. If they can get a little heater, that's, a lot of people ask us with talking baseball and everything else, what are you rooting for or whatever. And usually this time of year, the word that comes out is chaos. And if the Giants, I want one team to be the chaos team, whether it's the Giants, maybe the Orioles have already been the chaos team in the AL. The tweet that our graphics, our social media team puts out that just has chaos and the Baltimore Orioles logo, our mascot, it cracks me up every time. And I wonder that the other team, the two kind of parallel teams in the AL and the NL at the deadline were the Red Sox and San Francisco. Both teams. San Francisco won a $1.08 last year, a $1.07, like
crazy,
an all-time year. Red Sox went to the ALCS. I mean, they were dancing, and then both teams at the deadline. The Red Sox retooled. I think the parts going out and parts going in were probably similar. Where the Giants, they kind of stood their ground. Like Rodon, those rumors got sexy for a little bit. Jock Peterson and what he could have become in trade deadline lore if he went on the move again. I like that, Jerry, because I guess I haven't seen the Giants enough. They're winners of 5 in a row, by the way. And again, the schedule gets a little better. But they have to be a team, and that's where, when they started getting mentioned at the deadline, I kept talking myself out of Rodon being on the trade block and Jock Peterson. Because how could you be in that front office? How could you be on that team and say, we were able to do that last year? We have that in the tank. Like, why would we punt away from that? Where there's a chance. There's always that chance in baseball. And, man, that would be the perfect little sprinkle on top for the National League this year.
I think you nailed it. So I got to be in spring training with the Giants in 2020, right before the pandemic hit. Those guys are special. Farhan Zaidi and I came up together with the Oakland A's organization. We were kind of like, I have so much respect for him and what they're doing over there. They actually, I guarantee you that they took into account what the players in the locker room would say if they traded away Carlos Rodon, because they have the really intelligent, smart, he's an MIT guy, Farhan. They have all Ivy League guys, but they also have baseball people in there that have played, that they take into effect that if they traded away one of those big guys, they're going to lose all the respect in the clubhouse, maybe for a while. And so I'm sure they said, hey, man, there's not what we would gain in prospect or whatever the case may be is not worth what we would lose in the clubhouse. And so those guys are like, hey, that we didn't, they traded Darren Ruff to the Mets, and that's a big piece, but they have guys that they think can fill that role. I'm very impressed with what the Giants did, and not trading them was strategic. And so I think they have a little bit more of a push now in that clubhouse because the front office says, hey, we believe in who we have. Let's go, boys.
And man, it's why I won't be in a front office yet. I keep saying my retirement job is either in the D-backs or the Rockies front office. Sedona or the Rocky Mountains, and just come in for some homestands and, tell guys how to bunt, and they're just like, get out of here, dude. I can't imagine if they had traded away Jock, Rodon, whatever else, and you have to tell, like, Brandon Crawford and Evan Longoria and Brandon Belt, like, you basically lost one more summer in the sun. Instead, you get 2 months to try to, like, squeeze it all out, and Brandon Webb shoving again, and Rodon. Like, talk about, the Phillies are awesome. They really are, especially without Bryce, and how the high-level talent on that team is as good as any other team's high-level talent for the most part. The Giants, that offense still just doesn't have the sex appeal, but they get it done, and a lot of good at-bats, and like Wilmer Flores, like, go look at that dude's baseball reference, man. Like, that dude's a great baseball player that I wouldn't want to see Rodon and Webb in a 3-game set.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. I think that's the perfect comparison. We talked about the Phillies with Nola and Wheeler. I think Rodon, who proved me wrong, I didn't think he was this guy or it was sustainable. And so he proved, a lot of people wrong, that he could do this, and this wasn't just a flash in the pan. He's incredible. Logan Webb, like, as you said, has struggled a little bit when he first came out of the gate, but he has found it again. And they're the real deal. Wilmer Flores, having played with him for a long time, that's the guy that, as a lefty, I literally, in spring training, when he would step in to face me in those live BPs, I was like, no, dude, I'm not throwing you a pitch. You hit every single thing that I throw, no matter where it is. You crush me. Get out of the box. This is about my confidence. Go away. And so I would literally kick him out because that guy rakes, dude. He rakes.
That's incredible. Yeah, I mean, he, his past few years, all he kind of done is hit. He's got.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though. He is the He's the slowest guy that looks like he should be a fast guy.
Yeah.
He's an awesome, great clubhouse guy, but he looks like a speedy second baseman type. He runs like a Flintstone. His feet just don't move. You're like, man, why do you look fast and you're slow? It's crazy.
You see the second base next to someone and you're like, oh, you must run pretty well. And it's like, oh, wow. Hey, maybe that's changing. I know DJ LeMahieu's speed is taking a different route, but hey, if you pick it over there, 804 OPS in the last 4 years for Wilmer Flores. That's, I mean, people just don't think of him like that. They think of like the Mets kind of floating around the infield guy, a couple hits here and there. He's been good. He's got an over 100 in every season since 2016. He has an over 100 OPS plus.
Yeah, that's what the Giants do. They identify guys that are underappreciated and supplement them with guys that they think they can have a resurgence in their career, doing what they've done with Longoria, Belt, Crawford. Like, it's wild what they can do.
Let's go back to the Mets, Jerry, because you mentioned very casually the 1 and 2 teams are the Mets and the Dodgers right now. It's not a conversation. The Mets have been so good. Scherzer, DeGrom, if you want to talk about, if you like Webb and Rodon, I got something else you might like. It's insane that those guys are ready to go right now. The Mets have had such a good year. I believe in Buck. I tell you every time how much I truly love Alonso. I keep referencing it. It was the Sunday game. The Yankees played late. 2 outs. Alonso was on second. And someone hits a flare. And Alonso is scoring on that RBI single and running harder than you'll see a lot of MLB players run. And that matters, man. It really does. Where are you at with the Mets and the Dodgers? Are you waiting to see where everyone's at come October? If they played today for 7, is it Mets because they got the 2 dudes, or is it because right now the Dodgers rotation, as we talk about all these National League teams with the name power, the Dodgers have the guys with the numbers, Gonsolin, even Heendog, Chauvin, Anderson, Urias, he has the name power and deservedly so. But I don't know, like when you look at those 2 teams, what's kind of the differentiators?
Yeah, it's Scherzer, DeGrom. I believe in the Mets. I think the Mets are the best team for any series. Obviously, the Dodgers are proven to be the best team overall. But when it comes to playoff time, like, you can't Scherzer, DeGrom. Scherzer is a guaranteed Hall of Famer, and Jacob DeGrom is the best pitcher by head and shoulders above everybody else. Just watch him. Like, even reading his lines doesn't do justice to what he's capable of doing. Like, you're like, oh, a 96-mile-an-hour slider, he's throwing 102, but it's nasty. I think it's just until you see it. It's one of those things like I saw the Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building, and I've seen pictures of it, and it was like amazing. I was like, wow. And then I saw it in person on my honeymoon, and I was like, whoa. It's like one of those things that doesn't hit you until you see it like in context. That's how good Jacob DeGrom is. That's how much better he is than everyone else on the planet. And so when you put those 2 in a playoff series where you're probably going to have to face both of them twice to win, I'm going to pick that team every time.
Yeah, man, that's where I remember fired up the You Me Moylan chat, players only.
One of my favorites.
It's a good late night chat. There was some Mets Braves. I think that's right when the Braves had snuck up. They got a half game back, and then the Mets pushed them back down, which I found that very impressive. I know schedules and stuff tie into baseball probably more than we talk about, or at least we try to talk about more. But the fact that the Mets kept them down there, that's kind of important to not see the standing swap. And now it's back to 3.5 with Scherzer going. And yeah, man, I think the DeGrom thing, kind of like you're saying, because now we've become numb to the 100-mile-per-hour fastball, which is disgusting in its own right. And even a breaking pitch that, low 90s. The fact that it's under control. It's like he's pitching with that. It's not like, this is so good, try your best up there. By the way, I might hit you once. Like, he's just under such control that, yeah, I don't know if you have to see them for 7 and you've got to see those guys 4 times, and that's ignoring Chris Bassett. That's ignoring Cookie Carrasco, Taijuan Walker, or whoever else may be there by the end. The Mets are so real, and I don't have to mention Buck again and how much I love him, but God, they're real.
They're real. They're the real deal. They're fun to watch too. They play really good defense. They don't make mental mistakes on the base paths or defensively. They're always like playing good brand of baseball. And Buck Showalter, that's the guy. He's got him locked in. Eddie Escobar, Bassett, all these guys have took what was like a really messed up 2021 season and refocused it. Like this year's Chicago White Sox, who may have figured it out. They're on a little heater. That team over there and their dysfunction reminds me of what the Mets were in 2021. Yeah. So to see what Buck Showalter and the guys that they brought in this year have done for them and see how good they play every day. They don't play letdowns. Like they don't play down to their competition. They just show up and play Mets style baseball each and every day. And that's the ultimate compliment from me is to watch them go out there. And they're still beatable. Like the Braves are the real deal. The Braves are a legit World Series contender. And they put it to the Mets 2 days in a row because they're that good and baseball's crazy. But to me, the Mets are the most complete team in the National League.
It's, Buck's attention to detail, Mr. Smile, Frankie Lindor, that energy. Eddie Escobar is, renowned as one of the more fun dudes and clubhouse guys you need to have in baseball to get through 162. And Alonso's little leaguer in him that's like, can you believe we get to play baseball? And like, I'm going to run as hard as I can. That stuff matters. And you can't quantify it on paper, but yeah, you can quantify it if you watch a lot of White Sox games and you watch a lot of Mets games, which, by the way, if those White Sox start to go, the AL gets a little more interesting. You mentioned no let up from the Mets. Jerry, you're a New York sports media guy now. That's, the other team, my Yanks, it seems like they let up a little bit. That's got everyone in this office kind of in a little bit of a tizzy, but at the same time holding back because you never want to say a team isn't trying in sports because that's what sports is about. The players are trying, but the team was not necessarily put in the best position to be successful. They're making sure guys' injuries are extra healed because you have built up such a division lead that you've earned that right. So there's, that's a privilege in itself, but at the same time, We're coming up on 50-plus games of under 500 baseball for the New York Yankees that we're chasing 98 and we go out every day to win and we hate losing. And it's like, well, you turn that switch off. So I hope you can turn that on, and they should be, and I think they will in like a month, and we'll say, wow, the Yankees went on one of those 21-6 runs. Can you believe it? But I guess from your perspective, is there anything else you're seeing, Jerry, or feels different?
I've worried about the Yankees for the last couple of weeks. They're still a great team. Aaron Judge is unbelievable. Like, I wish we talked about Aaron Judge more. The chase for getting into the 60s and home runs, like the Roger Maris chase down. I feel it. I love it. I root for Aaron Judge. I'm a big fan. But I've been worried about them, especially in the bullpen. When Michael King went down, that was tough. Aroldis Chapman was scuffling. We didn't know what he looked like. And Clay Holmes isn't proven. He isn't a proven entity back there for the longevity. And you're seeing a little bit of those ruffled feathers because it's a mental game, man. Baseball is crazy. I've been there. My whole 2018, I struggled. My freshman year in college, it was, similar wild things. So I've been through that mental struggle. But you guys have a good roster. You found a diamond in the rough in Matt Carpenter, so hopefully he comes back. What's his status?
Man, he was 6 to 8 weeks with a fractured foot, I believe, and the 8 weeks put him like a week or two out.
The last week of the regular season because we got the extra week from the lockout.
So, what becomes interesting is where you're at in life in the Matt Carpenter story, where he didn't know if he'd get a shot, he got a shot, and he took advantage to it. And being a mustache man, he was like, "You're not done with me. I will be back." I think the thing that probably changed is he was playing some right field or corner outfield, and just Matt Carpenter at his point in his career, maybe I'd rule that out. But like, could he stand in the box and hit and get around the bags? Kind of, not a la Schwarber World Series style, but in a way, yeah, I think he could do that. I just think, outfield and coming off a fractured foot, not being an outfielder for the past 10 years, that seems like a tall task. But no, I mean, that gets overlooked. Stanton's been out. Carpenter has the best 100-plus plate appearances of any baseball player, batting behind the guy who's got a chance to break the AL home run record. So they are missing a lot of the pieces, and people do get you want to ignore that because you still believe in the Yankees and the pinstripes and the guys on the field. But, yeah, man, it's people are losing their minds over here.
They should be a little bit worried because this is like you said, this is a sustained stretch of mediocre baseball that they've been playing. They kind of had all of their pieces fall apart at the same time, though, with health, with the bullpen going down. They had some shaky starts here and there. And so that's what baseball does to you. This is what the marathon season looks like for everybody. They all go through lulls. They all have bad luck with injuries and whatnot. But ultimately they are a good team. They're going to come together. You're going to have to rely on Garrett Cole to step up and right the ship and step into that true ace, role and just be like, look, this is where everything stops. Boom. And then just go from there and lead the way. And then just let everybody get healthy. Don't rush Stanton back because of his Achilles. Let him come back healthy. Let Donaldson come back and return to form a little bit, maybe give him a day. And DJ LeMahieu, like missing him in the lineup, missing him in the field really hurts. The world's biggest second baseman ever in DJ. The guy is an amazing bat to ball skill set. And that makes your lineup so much better because he can just get on base and create havoc. So,
yeah. And I guess that's one of the Yankees, and I'm using Rizzo as the example. He doesn't necessarily deserve it because, I mean, he's Anthony Rizzo. Like, he's been through a lot of battles I think there was that 0-0 game that was 13 innings in Seattle. He went on the field that day, did a full warm-up, and was like, I'm good to go, and they're going to play me tomorrow. And I just think you're right with Stanton. Make sure that if he's injured enough to put on the injured list, bring him back when he's right. Like, that's it. I think the Yankees, because we've seen them make tweaks in recent years to their analytics or how the front office works, I think they will one day do a little bit more of like, well, if Anthony Rizzo can play him. Because there might be a time when he gets hurt, and like you're saying, LeMahieu just happened, and Yankee fans have kind of ignored that. He was getting on base for like 2 months at like a 450 clip in front of Judge while he's going to break the home run record. So now you're saying DJ LeMahieu, Matt Carpenter with the best 100-plus at-bats this year, Giancarlo Stanton. Yeah, when you put all that in the bucket, you're missing half a team. But that's not how us Yankee fans like to think.
And rightfully so. You guys, the Yankees fans, have earned the right to expect a team. You gave them the benefit of the doubt for a week, for 2 weeks, but this has been a stretch of weird baseball. And then when you have the health go down, like they have, the holes in your lineup that you guys have been talking about, that's been covered up by the top end of your lineup at shortstop, with Aaron Hicks in the outfield, these guys that haven't been hitting, even Donaldson, they become glaring holes, and it becomes infuriating for a fan to be like, I told you guys, we were, Aaron Judge and LeMahieu and Rizzo at 33 years old has been a revelation for me. I like that guy. I love rooting for him. I didn't know he had this left in the tank. And so I want him to be 100% healthy. I actually like the front office and the medical staff's approach with him. I'll tell you when you're ready, because you are older now. Any ball players like at 90%, we're like, put us out there.
Right.
But for the front office to be like, hey, take a deep breath. We're going to put you out there at 100%. We don't want you to have a nagging thing for a while because you're older now. And so I think that, how good is this Oswaldo guy that you've been talking about for a long time? Tell me a little bit about him.
So, Jerry, a couple moving parts here. Talking Yanks, Ryan Ruocco came on yesterday, he's awesome dude. And he, it's always funny when we have, some of the more traditional media people that have been, grinding through that for years. They're built for it. He went to college to like hone his craft at this industry. And he was so beautiful and eloquent about it, saying how, Estevan Florial just gets called up. And this was before he did. And it's, he's had a great year. He's this toolsy guy Yankee fans have talked about for years. He can do it all, right? And he's having a great year in the minor leagues. He's got like an 850 OPS, something like that, Beebs.
So I think his career AAA numbers are in the 9s OPS.
So he's 20.
And that's the IL, but that's crazy.
And he's 24, and the whole thing was if this guy gets reps and can recognize pitches, he has all of the tools. So it looks like it's kind of happening in AAA. So Ryan Rucco goes, hey, a couple things. He's like, look at the strikeout numbers. And he's still, the strikeouts are crazy. I think it's 122 in 80 something games. So he's.
So I have Cabrera's numbers on mine, and Florial has an OPS in the 8s this year.
In the 8s. So he's still getting punched out a lot, which, AAA to Major League, that's something you circle. He's also been, BBD pointed this out, Florial's been struggling recently. He's in a little bit of a funk since their all-star break. So, are you calling up an outfielder, a young kid, while Yankee fans are talking about their team needing saving, who's going to be there for a couple weeks? Because also Stanton's supposed to come back. Harrison Bader is now in the mix. Are you really putting this guy in an opportunity, or are you setting him up for failure? So, and Florial's had a couple of coffees with the Yankees, so we kind of know who he is, and I think that's its own situation. And by the way, he gets called up basically mid-game yesterday. So there's two.
2 for 3 yesterday.
There's two Oswaldos. There's Oswald Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera, both middle infielders. Peraza's the bigger prospect. He's the one that everyone's been screaming about. Before this,
and it's not the guy getting called up.
Not the guy getting called up.
What are you guys doing?
So, I will say this. Before the season, because their names are so similar, we did a lot of, let's see an Oswald this year. Whichever kid wins it, let's go. And I will say this. Cabrera's numbers are pretty electric, especially recently, and against right-handed pitching. So
switch hitter is fun.
And he's a little more versatile, and that's where DJ gets hurt. The Yankees' third base situation is more up in the air than it's been. I still very much want to see Peraza, the other kid. The thing that now hurts me is it's August 17th, man. And we saw a crop of rookies come up this year between Bobby Witt and Julio Rodriguez and some of the other dudes around this league. Some clicked instantly. Michael Harris, too. I mean, he clicked so well that he's got 80-plus million coming no matter what happens the rest of the way. Good for you, dude.
Good for you.
Julio, Bobby Witt, 98% of rookies that have ever gotten the call, you struggle the first little bit. That I feel like the Yankees kind of missed their boat on their kids this year. And that's honestly my biggest frustration, because I can't tell you Cabrera is the solution to the Yankees. I can't tell you Peraza is the solution to the Yankees. I would have been curious to find out, because I know the Braves have tried, and it's worked out pretty damn good when they do. And the other one that hurts me a little bit is that, and you can't do this because it's not how it works, but it's just what's in my brain. The Houston Astros called up their young shortstop prospect to start the season to find out what they got. They like him, and he's good. I'm not saying Peraza is that. They are ranked in similar areas. And the kid's doing well recently in the minors, too, that I thought you should have found out. If they're waiting for now to find out, I mean, that's just a dangerous game, because Josh Donaldson. If he's starting to lose playing times to kids in September, I don't know where he's going to be at. IKF, the way he plays, you can see the mental side comes and goes for him. When he's feeling good, he's feeling good. When he's not, he's not. And you can say that for a lot of baseball players. So that's not shots fired. But if you took that starting shortstop job away from IKF right now, you might lose him for the year. if you bench Donaldson to a kid, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, man. So that's where I think the Yankees thought their injury bug that they're kind of having now was going to happen in June or May, and they could throw the kids in there and see what happens. I don't think that ever happened, and now we're sitting here playing the I don't know game.
So, yeah, that's frustrating. That adds to the frustration of Yankees fans because you've seen something like this, anticipating it coming at some point this season, and you wanted to have one of your guys come up and get a sustained look. Again, you talked about Michael Harris, what he's been able to do. That's what they could have done with your boy Peraza. They could have brought him in, batted him 8th or 9th, and just said, look, the rest of the lineup's going to carry you. Get your feet wet, get your confidence. You're going to be here. I'm going to give you 2 months, as long as you're playing defense, of just learning what it takes to be a big leaguer. And he could have done that on a contending team that didn't need him to produce like the Braves did. Hopefully this is like Brett Beatty's getting called up for the Mets because of some injuries. This is the perfect scenario for him because he's going to play and he's going to sit up there and he's going to bat bottom of the order and he doesn't have to produce. He's going to be just a guy at the end that's filling in. And that's the perfect way to get your feet wet and a cup of coffee. The team's not leaning on you to be the savior or to fill in and you're going to get booed because you're batting in a big position. That would have been nice. Unfortunately, they didn't do that for your guys. So I understand the frustration. I felt like Yankees fans have been waiting for this kind of moment to just vent a little bit because I felt like you're victims to your own success. You've won so many games in spite of some of the things that you should have been doing. So this is like you're allowed to let it out now.
Let's see what happens because they've had an incredible season and you don't want to, but do I think that they won? It sounds so dumb, Jerry. That's why I can't say it. They won a lot of games and like you phrased it right. It covered up some of the other blemishes at the time that they said, well, we don't need to address this. Look how many games we're winning. Like it makes sense.
I'll add a little bit of fuel to your fire with trading Montgomery when you guys needed more starting pitching depth. Like that was a weird thing that happened. And you guys are like, wait, what? There's something else that has to be coming, right? Like there's got to be another big move. And then you're confused. You see some holes and nothing has been plugged in the way that you thought it was going to happen. And so there's a lot of question marks in the air.
Note what I think if I had to sum it up in one sentence was they, for a while, like through most of July, up until the All-Star break, they had the goal of being as good as they could be this regular season. And they were. And the rest of the division also kind of didn't carry their weight. Like the Blue Jays, they were the favorites in the division to start the year. The Rays are raising. The Orioles are better. The Red Sox are worse. But the division as a whole, you thought there was going to be another scary, scary team, which maybe by the end there will be. It felt like up into the All-Star break, it was be as good as we can be this season, win every day, win every series, win the road trips, dominate the homestands. And then since the All-Star break, it's been get ready for October. And that's just, it's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game.
It is, but you guys are good. The Yankees are good enough to be able to do this. And if they're playing, like Cashman's been great for how long? I've been watching him on The Captain. Like that show was incredible. Even as a not Yankee fan, like that was my era of coming up, in high school and then obviously playing. That was awesome. And Cashman was in the middle of all that. So this guy knows more than we do.
Yes.
He's preparing the team to win in October. You're allowed to be frustrated. You're allowed to shout out some of the holes that you see as a fan, but ultimately, are they doing things the right? Only time will tell, because if all of the health comes, Rizzo, Carpenter, Giancarlo, these guys come back and you get healthy, Clay Holmes gets right mentally, Chapman has looked incredible since coming back. these things, is who's the Orioles closer?
Oh, Bautista?
No,
Lopez?
lefty. What's that?
Zach Britton.
Britton, isn't
Yeah.
he coming back soon?
He's supposedly.
So if these pieces return and you guys get that with a little bit of some young guy might come up and spark and become a piece of this, it might just fall. And it seems like all the dominoes might fall right into place. And the Yankees could be, adding another banner at some point. It's still very much possible, but you're in the middle of some mediocre baseball that's hard to watch.
Yeah, and the funny thing, another one of the funny ones that got me yesterday, and it's a shout out to Cashman. Aaron Hicks missed a ball in center field, so everyone's screaming center field, Florial, this, that, and the other. That guy in the Montgomery trade they got back, Harrison Bader, I think that's a guy Yankee fans could really like. Because he supposedly covers ground with the best of them in center, and I think he runs into one or two. So who knows how that dude fits the puzzle if they can navigate it with their starting pitching, which, like you said, it didn't seem necessary. But, if everything's healthy and good come October, then Harrison Bader could be more important than Jordan Montgomery was, and that would be like, wow, you know what you're doing, man.
Yeah, I actually can't wait to see Bader in pinstripes. He's a semi-local boy.
Yeah.
And he rocks one of the coolest gloves in the big leagues. Yeah. The Statue of Liberty glove is so badass. Like between that and Jazz Chisholm's like ice cream cone glove, yeah. Those are my two favorites in the show.
You think Yankee fans might like the local kid that tracks down balls in center field, plays with his hair on fire, and has a Statue of Liberty glove?
Absolutely.
I mean, God. Yeah, that I could see that working out. Jerry, I think you're going to baseball today right now, right?
I am. I'm going live on baseball today here in a few minutes.
Blevins
filling in for Mr. Rose. Big shoes.
Whoa, that's tough, man. That's tough. Did Plouffe write up the questions? Though. Players only. That's fair.
Yeah, Plouffe hooked it up.
Okay.
Yeah, Trev's ready.
Because when Rosie does it, he's like, here's the 5 questions, and you get them, and you're like, okay, this is easy.
Trev did that. He hooked it up. Wow. I got the email late last night, all prepared, got the notes ready to go.
That show, man.
Trev's the real deal, dude.
That show. Jerry, you're the real deal, man. I always love talking to you. Everyone, go check out Shea Station. Some big episodes coming up. Oh, dude, you haven't even done like postseason. Like Shea Station
we're just now starting to look towards that schedule. I'll be in the city this weekend doing pre and post game. I'll come into the office on Friday for Shea Station. So we got to get together.
Good news, I won't be here. So I'm sorry.
You got another vacation or something? What are you doing?
I said it at the start of this. I do an annual fantasy football golf trip with
boys. Gotcha. Enjoy, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. I'll be in and out a lot this September, and then the Mets make the playoffs. I'll be doing a lot of pre and post game stuff on SNY in the city. So you'll be seeing hopefully a lot more of me, and I get to see that beautiful face of yours.
That's the dream, baby. That's the dream. Jerry Blevins, thank you. Good luck on baseball today. Just wash Trevor. Just put him under the table, dude.
Oh, I love Trev. We're gonna be a good duo here.
Fastball in under the hands. He still can't get there.
All day. Then I'll throw a backdoor curveball that he's gonna give up on immediately. He's gonna punch out looking, and he's gonna put his head down on the way to the dugout.
Yeah, just start taking off the pads.
I'm gonna throw it. I'll throw it so far outside that he'll drop his bat and get ready, and I'll be walking towards the dugout before the ball gets to the catcher.
Someone get Trevor's glove. He's gonna need it.
I'm Team Trevor on that. I bring my glove too.
Jerry, thank you, dude. I'll talk to you soon. Take it easy,
BBD. Brother. Later, guys.
See you, Jer.
King Beebs. That was Jerry Blevins. Awesome.
What a treat.
Didn't talk too much Brett Beatty, but we talked enough Brett Beatty and a lot of baseball. Thank you, Jerry. Everyone, per usual, the John Boy Media rules. Tweet at Jerry. Tell him how awesome he was and how much we loved him. We can probably wrap it up. I mean, the only other baseball things I'd mention, watch out for the White Sox. They just took 2 games against the Houston Astros. They beat Verlander. They are winners of 5 straight. They're 1 game back of the Central, and they are 1 game back of the wild card. So the Chicago White Sox, who have been out and a joke of this season, they might be back in. I think we got to wrap it up because I think I have an 11:30 thing too. Do you have a bro or anything, Beebs?
Shout out Gibby.
Okay.
Matched his career high in strikeouts in a single game last night. Punched out 11.
Let me get
Ain't bad.
and I'll get a quick comment of the day. We deserve it because it was a huge ep last time. You guys are the best. Let's see. You got to wake it before you bake it. Nobody really knows what's happening. Oh, it's a lot of Tatis comments. Yeah. And by the way, me and Trev kind of accidentally. How about this? Alessandro Sanchi said, "Big Noah McFly fan." And I think we all are. Yeah, me and Trev stumbled into on Talking Baseball a lot more Tatis talk because there's more coming out with Poppy and Pedro and all of that.
Every day there's some new quote about it that feels like you got to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
We didn't even get Pedro's thing, and he was talking last night.
It's a massive, massive thing with baseball. So, hey, thank you to Jerry Blevins. Thank you guys for waking and jaking. Watch everything on John Boy Media. I mentioned Talking Baseball, Talking Yanks yesterday. The Weekly Dumb. Zach Esposito on the 1s and 2s. Talking Giants is rolling. Farm to Fame, they had on
Winton Bernard.
Right? The Rocky who got called up. That's really cool stuff.
Awesome.
Rose rotation is always good. Everything.
Baseball today's happening in a sec.
If you want more Jerry Blevins, if you're addicted to Jerry Blevins,
Talking Yanks tonight. Episode from yesterday with Ruco.
Dog Days, people. Thank you. I love you. Keep baking the algorithm. Let's have a great week. Love.